I pulled a cruel prank on my parents, and 5 hours later, I found myself alone, hungry, and without clothes on the streets. When I was 7 years old, my family had recently moved to Spain. One day, while at the beach, I decided to prank my parents. I wanted to see how they would react if I got lost, so I quietly slipped away from our blanket while they were distracted. They were too busy to notice me leaving, but unfortunately, I took the wrong turn and ended up getting lost for real. At first, I wasn't too worried. I tried to sneak back to the parking lot, but I ended up on unfamiliar back roads. I tried to retrace my steps, but I kept getting more and more lost. Before I knew it, I found myself in a sketchy alleyway that smelled of urine and had mice scurrying around. What made it even worse was that I was still in my beach attire, just swim shorts. I began to panic. I was terrified and started screaming "Mommy" as I walked aimlessly, tears rolling down my cheeks. I was convinced I wouldn't make it out alive. Even though I was a shy child, I approached every stranger I saw, asking if they spoke English, but none of them did. Most ignored me, a scared, crying child. For hours, I wandered the streets and alleyways, exhausted, hungry, and freezing cold. After about 5 hours, I was near the point of passing out when I came across an old man in a strange car park. Desperate, I asked him if he spoke English. Instead of answering, he bent down and pulled me into a hug. He smiled and, in broken English, told me to come with him. My mom had always warned me about stranger danger, but I was out of options. I blindly trusted him and got into his car. We drove for over an hour to a remote house. The entire car ride, the man kept glancing at me, and I was terrified. Eventually, we arrived at his home, which was in a rundown area. I was scared, but had no choice but to trust him again. Inside, he introduced me to his wife and son. The man spoke to his wife in Spanish, and within seconds, she had me dressed in warm clothes and was making me hot tea. Their son, around my age, was learning English in school. He used his school dictionary to help me explain what had happened. The man and his wife then took me to the police station. There, an officer who spoke English told me to sit in the lobby until an officer was free. When the man and his wife spoke to the officer in Spanish, they were visibly angry. I couldn't understand them, but their words were enough to make the officer pick up the phone. My parents were already in a police car, searching for me, and they arrived to pick me up within 10 minutes. When I saw my parents, I broke into tears. My mom and dad both cried as they hugged me. It was the first time I had ever seen my dad cry. That moment made me realize just how much I meant to them. To this day, my mother sends chocolates to the man and his wife every Christmas to thank them for their kindness.